Y'all, it is officially October, which means it is officially Hoodoo Heritage Month. Now, Hoodoo Heritage Month was started in 2019 by a sister named Mama Rue, who decided that we needed a month to honor and celebrate hoodoo. And for those of you who are like, what is hoodoo? Let me explain. Hoodoo is an African American spiritual practice that came about when our ancestors were bought or stolen from Africa to America, and they brought over a lot of their African traditional religious practices to America. And because they were forced to stop practicing their practices openly, they had to hide them and practice privately. So they hid them in the church, and they often hid them in plain sight. Although most people today know those hidden practices as hoodoo, they was often called old-fashioned root work or root back in the day by the elders. Now, the foundational beliefs in hoodoo practice or root work is God, the value of the elements, as well as ancestor veneration, the understanding of the Ori or the divine higher self, right? The spiritual connection that we have all within self, as well as the importance of honoring and loving each other, our brothers and sisters. Now, what those foundational beliefs look like in practice usually looks like worshiping God, always giving glory, all praise to God, also being respectful and honoring the elements, right? Not worshiping the elements, but honoring the elements by respecting them, by giving gratitude for the water, for the air, for the land, for fire, etc. Also honoring our ancestors, not worshiping, but honoring our ancestors, giving gratitude for their existence, for them surviving and thriving so that we may be. And of course, we utilize the elements in what many would call root work, right? So we would utilize the roots, the herbs, the water, along with our prayers, our incantations to heal, to manifest, to bring love, light, and alignment to ourselves and to the universe as a whole. And just in case you don't know, hoodoo is everywhere and has been everywhere. Let me tell you something. If you grew up with a mama, a grandmama, a auntie, or any elders in your family who would clean the home and put some salt down in the corners or put some coins down because they was blessing the home and protecting the home, that's hoodoo. If you grew up being smudged, having some frankincense and myrrh burning in the house, or some sage or any type of herbs being burned with the intention of cleansing the home or bringing blessings into the home, that's hoodoo. If you spit on a broom after someone sweeps your feet, that's hoodoo. If you've ever heard of brick dust, that's hoodoo. If you were taught to burn or flush your hair after you comb it or cut it, that's hoodoo. Also, if you ever used herbs and various natural elixirs to cleanse yourself, let's be clear, that's a part of root work. Hoodoo. Oh, and if you grew up with a sacred space in your home where you honored people who are no longer with you, aka your ancestors, baby, that was an ancestor altar. So if you had a space in your home where there were pictures and maybe a flower or some coins or keepsakes from ancestors who are no longer with us, baby, you grew up with an ancestor altar. And I could also get into the hoodoo in the church because, baby, it's still in there, has always been in there. But it's important to understand that this is not evil. These are our ancestral practices that were bought from Africa and preserved here in America, which again makes hoodoo an African American practice. It's important to understand, again, this is not a bad thing. This is not evil. It's a part of our history. It's a part of who we are. And I know a lot of y'all are going to ask about books to learn more about hoodoo. This book, Mojo Working, is a great book to start with to understand the history, some of the history, a lot of the history of hoodoo and root work. And this book, Working the Root by Michelle Lee, is excellent because she traveled throughout the South and talked to a lot of root working, hoodoo practicing elders about what does hoodoo look like for them, what is the history of hoodoo that they are aware of. So she got a real accounts from elder hoodoo practitioners, some that some of y'all may know, such as Yeye Louisa Tish, who is also a priestess of Oshun in Lukumi tradition, and she talks about Lukumi in here as well. So there is some ATRs incorporated in this as well. This is a good book, Working the Roots by Michelle Lee. And to celebrate Hoodoo Heritage Month, a lot of people come up with like calendars and different things that you can do every day, but I heavily advise that you connect with your ancestors and connect with your Ori, your higher self, and do what you feel led to do. You may feel led to venerate your ancestors a little more. You may feel led to really learn more about herbs and learn about working the roots. You may feel led to just pray and meditate and be and rest during this time. All of that is ancestor veneration. All of that is hoodoo. all of that is what is true to you. Happy Hoodoo Heritage Month, y'all. Much love.